Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the simple workforce management software for hospitality teams. RotaCloud lets you create and share rotas, record attendance, and manage your team's annual leave, all in less time than it takes to make a brew. It can also make life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request holiday, and even pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Guy Freedman, Hotel Director at The Pig and The Pig in the Wall. Coming up on today's show, Guy sums up the vast majority of careers.
A lot of wine in between and whinging and tears, but, get there.
Phil reveals two of his favourite things, one working on nights and two naked people. And Guy is upset at the uniform Phil has provided.
This life was pretty unattractive, and this is quite a lot of effort.
All that and so much more as we chat through Guy's excellent journey so far. Guy seems to put fun at the heart of everything he does, and that's never too far away throughout our chat. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a share wherever you can. Enjoy. And a massive Hospitality Meets welcome to Guy Freedman. How are you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good indeed. Very good indeed. Where do we find you? It's a really interesting room you look like you're in.
That's very kind. I'm at the Pig Hotel today, just in one of the bedrooms, which is probably the only quiet spot I could find.
Very good, very good. Not at 100% occupancy then? What are you doing?
We're 100%, thankfully. Otherwise, I'd be probably shot. But we're in between. Someone's checked out and someone will check in later. So I've slipped in much at housekeeping's. I'm not sure they're particularly grateful, but...
Very good. Well, we'll make this snappy then, shall we? Get it done in 15 minutes so that keep everybody happy.
I think they'd be delighted.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you making time then at a critical point of the day then in terms of the turnaround of the hotel, etc. But very, very good. We've been trying to make this happen for a few months now, I think, actually.
We have, yeah.
Since we were connected through the wonderful people at Hospitality Action, which we will obviously talk about as parts of your overarching journey, because I know that you're heavily involved with them, as am I as well, and it's just a wonderful thing to do and such an essential part of our industry. We'll talk about that in great depth, I'm sure. But actually, what I'd really love to do is take you all the way back to the beginning of your career. How did you get into hospitality in the first place?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, how did I get in? I've come from a big family that's always been around a dinner table with friends, family, and carnage. And I think when talking to careers advisors, they asked what I liked doing. I think I pretty much just said eating and drinking and dinner time. So they advised I go and look at restaurants and hotels, and sort of started there, really.
At least they advised it, because I've had some conversations with some people where that doesn't happen.
I think it was gritted teeth. I think they were hoping for something slightly more academic, but nevertheless, off I went into industry, and I started on a 6-week placement. I think when I was 16, maybe, in the kitchen, and very quickly I was advised, due to my chatty nature, I might be best front of house rather than questioning the poor head chef back then. So that was the start of that was the start and end of my cooking side of my career, about 3 weeks. And then from there, I've stayed in the industry alongside education and been addicted ever since.
Very good. Well, that positive addiction is can be a good thing for sure, especially when it comes to your career. Like finding the thing that ignites you, and it's the holy grail, isn't it? To latch onto something like that.
It's true. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a job if you love it as much as I do. So it's great.
Yeah, great. So started in the kitchen, made the transition to front of house. How did it move forward from there?
Front of house in a small boutique hotel in London. Then I did some interesting jobs at university. I worked in a Fudge kitchen. I worked as pot wash, as a cleaner, night cleaner, and then landed at the Old Bank Hotel, Jeremy Mogford's property, and sort of got to play there. did my placement year at the same time from uni and got to play at it was then the Renaissance Chancery Court, now Rosewood,
Yeah.
and had just a wonderful exposure to doing every job, working as many hours as they would let me, just to absorb and I mean, it's just like a playground. Just phenomenal experience of both a city centre boutique and then a 5-star big 300-bedroom plus hotel in London.
Yeah.
And from there, just sort of was very fortunate to promote and develop. And I think when it came time to leave Oxford, I went back to London to Searcy's to sort of perfect a bit of F&B and did some openings for them. Had some wonderfully chaotic and energetic moments and some crazy events, and then was starting to think about what makes me happy, or what should the next move be, and it was starting to feel a bit more thought through rather than my usual just a new experience and new skill set. And I had lunch at the Pig, I think in 2013, and I just thought I was extremely hungover, and I just thought this place
Good start.
is cool. Reached out to a friend and they said it's just as cool behind the scenes as it is at the front. And I think I went back to London, spoke to my boss and said, I'm really sorry, I'm going to give my notice and I haven't got a job yet, but I'm going to apply for this and I really want to work there. And that was, I think, 13 odd years ago now.
And the rest is history. Thanks very much. Well, we did say 15 minutes,
yeah,
right? That's 5. Yeah.
Completely done.
But I love that because I love that you kind of, you became what's the word of the moment is intentional, right? Like you were, I see that in a lot of people's journeys as well, whereby it's at the beginning, you just get on board and you go with the flow a little bit and you see what opportunity presents itself and you take the opportunity because it feels like the right thing to do and all of that. And that's great. But at some point you have to get more intentional about, right, where is this actually going? And I love that you kind of just put your money where your mouth is and went, that's where I'm going to work. I don't have a job yet, but that's going to happen.
Yeah. I think the more I think about it, the more bizarre that process was. I hadn't been a restaurant manager. And I applied to be restaurant manager. And George, the then hotel director, asked me loads of technical questions that I sort of fumbled through, went home and had to Google what these restaurant terminologies were, rather embarrassingly. And then I thought, he's probably going to offer me the assistant because I've not got enough. And do you know what? I'll take it. And then he offered me the restaurant manager and I was sort of cursing myself thinking, actually, I'd quite like the assistant role.
Yeah. Why? Why have you given me that?
Bugger. But no, like always in hospitality, there's a great support network around, and as long as you've got energy and resilience, you're gonna do all right. So I was very fortunate that Pig was one then, and as it grew, I was able to grow and climb the ranks to GM or HK.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But again, much to love in that, notwithstanding somebody in principle taking what from the outside looking in would be a bit of a punt on someone.
Yeah.
But people don't make a punt based on zero information. So there was clearly something in that meeting whereby I'm guessing they looked at the human rather than necessarily the technical skill, because we speak about this all the time. The technical skill can be developed, but but developing an attitude is that has to come from the human being, right? That's not something that you can really have a lot of external control over.
No, the great thing, having learned at the Pig, is we've always just recruited a personality. Can they make eye contact? Do they enjoy talking? Do they enjoy smiling? Do they enjoy turning up for work? Everything else, everyone does at home. Everyone loads a dishwasher. Everyone carries plates. Everyone makes a bit of food, makes a cup of tea. Most people make a glass of wine. So, those skills are not new or we always say we're not rocket scientists. So as long as you can hire the personality, most of the stuff we're confident we can train. And I think having made great friends with the people that were recruiting back then, they perhaps saw a spark of chaotic energy and personality and thought we can nurture this young man into something useful for the business.
Yeah, but you can feel it, right? I mean, that's the thing. And I think it's a very difficult thing to be able to write down on a piece of paper as to why that, like, they saw you and went, you know what, he's the Pig. He just is. We'll figure everything else out as we go along. sometimes it's a very difficult thing to really kind of understand how or what it is, and that's where the human element comes in, right? I mean, in terms of your ability to be able to read a human being to take a punt, because it's still, regardless of whether you were recruiting for technical skill, that's still a punt. I
Yeah.
think the likelihood is that you're more likely to stay in a role because you feel aligned as humans rather than aligned with the job in which you do. I
Oh, always, always. I'd agree with that fully.
Yeah, and you're kind of a case in point, right? And also the
Yeah.
fact that you put yourself out there a little bit. This is where I want to go. You got the job, and critically, you're still in the same organization. 13 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I think just over 13 years now. Three, four, five roles. So yeah, it is. I mean, when you find your place, so to speak, there's nothing better. There's nothing
Mm,
better. All the anxieties and stresses, they'll always be there. But the ability to be in a high performing team, delivering something that you all agree with, is pretty special. It's pretty rare too, probably, but it's pretty special.
yeah, 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 yeah. So talk to me about your climb to GM. Then you started out as a restaurant manager with next to no experience. How
Yeah,
did it
started out
progress?
in the pig. So I did 2 years as restaurant manager here at Brockenhurst as the pigs opened the first or the second and third sites. And then I was fortunate enough to be promoted to DGM. So I did 3 years here as DGM, supporting the other openings. The festivals were growing, our smoked and uncuts. And then, as we say, they gave me a crack at the title. So they let me go and open the pig in Bridge Place in Canterbury as GM in 2019. We opened just before COVID. So after lots of hard work and dedication and learning my craft and making every mistake possible, I think they'd felt like I'd learned enough to hold the keys and be trusted with that. So I literally packed my bags and went to. I'd never been to Kent before. Went to Kent and with an amazing team, had a really amazing time opening. And then COVID, obviously, little blip.
Yay. Yeah.
But no, stayed there for
A
4.5
blip.
years. Yeah, yeah, almost not worth talking about, but yeah, incredibly inconvenient on many levels. And then after 4 years, moved back to Brockenhurst to help run the flagship here. And my family are from this area, as are my wife. So having two young kids and having support is it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant,
Yeah.
much
No doubt.
needed.
No doubt. And also, I've not been to the Brockenhurst site, but I have been to the Kent
Mm.
property before. Really, this is one of the reasons I really love the brands. The reimagining of these spaces really, and we're not even talking just about buildings. We're talking about land as well, right? In terms of what's
Mm.
possible on the land that can enhance the experience for the guests, but also, I guess, at the same time, the team.
Yeah, I think that's very well put. I think the pigs are very unique and well,
Any
were
jobs in
unique.
marketing going?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be terrible in marketing. I could barely spell, barely read, barely write. But no, I think, yeah, it's like any team. We're really lucky that everyone's at the sort of top of their little pyramid. And whether that's the gardener, the grounds, the chef, marketing, the people team, all comes together to make it work. With if one element didn't, it would be very hard to operate. And I've certainly done jobs in the past where you're missing certain parts of that team. But here, under Robin and Tom and now Kevin and Peter, they've assembled a pretty cool team to go and deliver. So again, pretty fortunate to be in the right place at the right time and be allowed to develop and grow my career.
Well, you say lucky, but it sounds like you also had a part in making it happen in the first place. And yes, okay, you've then got to stay there, but you created your own luck in this circumstance, from what I can see at least.
Yeah, 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 probably a bit self-depreciating, but yeah, I suppose you work hard, you hope, everyone wants to be, well, I want to be a GM from the age of 15, and that was always my career goal. And I think you move sideways, upwards, downwards, any way to collect the basket of skills you think you need to have to get to the top, and you try and fail, and hopefully eventually someone believes in you and supports you to go and do it. And that's effectively what happened for me, with
Yeah,
a lot of wine in between and whinging and tears, but get there.
yeah. Well, but that's true of any upward trajectory, right? If you're not experiencing, some discomfort, then it means that
Oh,
you're not growing
yeah,
usually.
pressure's a privilege. You've got to, yeah. It's if it was easy, it wouldn't be very fun, for sure.
Yeah,
It's got to be a
totally.
challenge.
Yeah, and well, and also doing the right thing is rarely easy.
No,
God, just
it's
you
easy to
could look,
cheat.
you
Yeah,
could look to government at the moment to probably shouldn't go there. But although today it seems like we've got a ceasefire, but let's see.
that's true. It was
I
a
don't,
nice thing to wake up to.
yeah,
That and my children are currently we're trying to get out of nappies at night, so a lot of late night reading of the news as I change bed sheets at the moment. So it's good. It was lovely to read.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Relief.
The only problem I have is that I don't really believe a word that comes out of any of their mouths. So
No,
how what's the ulterior motive? That's the
it's
next
true.
part of my thinking. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I'll be there all day. But back to you. So there's a couple of things that I made a note from in your journey that I just would love to come back to. Fudge Kitchen. I've never. I don't think we've had anybody on the show who's worked in a fudge
Gosh.
kitchen before.
Yeah. Student, need money. Got to some beer tokens. And a friend of mine that I was playing sport with said that he'd just got a job at this new fudge kitchen. It was pretty good hours, pretty good pay, and pretty good fun. So I went to work for the Fudge Kitchen in Oxford. It's now a much bigger brand, but at the time it was a tiny little boutique. And you wore green chef sort of overalls, a straw boater, and I regularly had a black eye from playing sport. So I looked peculiar to say the least. But no, it was an amazing time at uni. Thankfully, before lots of social media, so there's not much evidence of it. But we used to make fudge and sell it, and it was incredibly successful shop, incredibly cool business. But yeah, that was it. One of the many unique jobs I've done over the years. I worked at Thornton's cafe doing the chocolates and the coffees back as a student. Anything that would pay me that didn't require too much of my time.
So something of an early specialist in sugar, then it seems.
Yeah, yeah. Anything for a free bit of food or chocolate was always always a win when picking a job. Always a win.
Yeah, but I suppose the key point with this is that you you're on a path, as you say, you need some cash, jobs. Like there's so many opportunities to do really cool and interesting stuff. That's something a little bit different. Most people just go and get a job in a bar, which is not. I'm not dissing that by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that you kind of go out and get these different experiences, I think, is also that's part of life, right? I mean, in terms of what that brings to something
Hmm.
else down the line, it probably brought more to you than you maybe even cared to think about it at the time you were
Yeah,
in.
yeah. It's a really positive way of looking at it. Actually, I think was very fortunate to before mentoring was a sort of buzzword to have these. I used to call them big brothers or big sisters in the industry that would give me pearls of wisdom, whether I was in trouble or just seeking advice. And they would always say, whilst you're young, no kids, no mortgage, sports bag living, as they called it, get as many experiences and as many different brands as you can. And you'll suddenly find one that clicks. And that's the sort of path you'll follow for a longer time. But until then, just explore the world of our industry. And I think I took those words to heart and thought, right, let's get as many different experiences and understand as many different areas. And maybe those skills later in life will be useful. Maybe they won't. But strangely, every job I've done, I've got great memories, great set of friends from, and some funny stories to tell my kids as they grow up.
Yeah, well, let's go there. Um, the
Gosh.
Yeah, indeed. You very kindly wrote down a couple of stories actually on the form that we ask everybody to fill out before they come on. And yours were really centered around two things: one, working on nights, and two, naked people. And those two things, they tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think I was very fortunate when I worked for the Renaissance that they allowed me to be night manager for the summer. I think it was about 2021 maybe, and they needed cover for 5 or 6 months. And being a student, I had that summer window of doing nothing. So I thought, yeah, why not? That sounds like a skill I've not got, and sounds like a challenge to not sleep and then still spend my days seeing friends and doing things. So on that, working in central London in a 5-star hotel between, I think the shifts were maybe like 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., I think, you saw the most wonderful exposure to people at their worst, at their best, and at
Wonderful
their most
exposure is an interesting choice of words as well.
and most vulnerable. So those guests waking up, getting the wrong door, like in any comedy movie, think it was the bathroom, but it's the bedroom door, and being naked, having to come down to reception via lifts, hiding behind pillars, saying, "Can we have our room key?" And obviously,
Yeah,
you
got any
can't let
ID?
someone exactly that. You can't let them in without any ID. So you have to go up and then go into their bedroom with them naked, which is slightly, you know, those days you'd take security with you because that was the safe procedure, that you weren't entering into a room with a naked person.
Yeah.
For many reasons. And so they would then be rummaging around their bag for an ID with security verifying that that was them, and poor them could they eventually go back to sleep and we could go back to running the night shift. But barely a week went by without someone doing something wonderfully, hilariously chaotic. Naked people, drunk people, people checking into the wrong hotel but convinced it was their hotel, falling asleep in all sorts of peculiar places. New relationships, should we say, starting in all sorts of wonderful new places. But yeah, as a 21-year-old, I just thought this is awesome fun.
Yeah.
This is awesome fun, and I've got maximum energy to run around and sort of police it and look after it and make sure that when the day team came in, everything was ready for them. So yeah, certainly a unique time. I don't think I could do nights now with children and the summer coming up. But at that time in my life, it was a wonderful experience. I was very grateful to be given the opportunity.
Yeah, I've had more than a few people on the show come on and say that they believe that the hospitality should be national service. Like everybody should
Mm.
have a stint of something that presents you to the public, and you have to deal with what the public give you. But I would go one step further and say that everybody should do a stint on nights,
Oh, it's
because
incredible.
that takes that to steroids
Yeah, it
levels.
certainly does. It certainly does. Yeah, I think it'd be amazing if everyone, I mean, most people have been in the industry in some capacity. Everyone worked in a cafe or a restaurant coming, when they were younger. Nights, perhaps less so. But I think, yeah, there's so many skills to be learned and gained. And I think it's slightly underrated at times or overlooked because of certain shift patterns or hours or historic folklores of stories. So it's a shame it doesn't get more positive credit, but
I,
I'm
Agreed, and I say that as somebody who did a stint as a night manager on a cruise ship,
mm,
and I think back to that time I would have been 24, and the same principle for you as well as a 21-year-old. We also underestimate the responsibility on that role, because
oh yeah,
you're literally in charge of the hotel at that point.
yeah. I think if you said to me now as a hotel director or GM, you're going to hire a 21-year-old to oversee, was it 356 bedrooms? There's 50 staff at night minimum, and you're going to have to then be in charge of a fire evacuation. I think I'd be slightly concerned with the lack of knowledge, skills, or maturity. But back then, there's no fear because you just don't know. You're so ignorant, you don't know anything. It's
Yeah,
great. You're like, yeah, I'll have a crack. And I think everyone was incredibly supportive that if things did go wrong, they were there to coach, train, and as long as you listened and showed willingness to course correct, everyone had, well, I've always found everyone's had infinite time to support, which is I've always been very grateful for.
yeah. Yeah, no doubt. It's still one of the most fond jobs that I can recall in my life, especially on a cruise ship, because
Oh,
you
gosh.
basically do your I think we were 10 till the night manager stint was 10 till 10, and the assistant night manager was 9 till 9.
Mm,
So you had that double coverage for the vast majority of the night, and then an hour either side. But we'd be in port, so as long as I was willing to sacrifice a little bit of sleep,
mm,
I'd get the whole day off in port to be able to go and see this place. I just, as a young person, like I would advocate anybody do that job, because the energy is just different around it, and what it teaches you critically around
Mm.
being able to cope with responsibility, to be able to be disciplined enough to do the things that need to be done, and there's nobody else to do them, sort of thing as well. It's a job for the ages, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I suppose it was that. I think that was my first serious managerial job, actually. Now I think about it, and it just, yeah, as you say, exposes you to everything: responsibility, leadership, doing a job when no one's looking, how you're going to behave.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, an incredible opportunity, incredible
yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing I picked up from when you were running through your history, as it were, is your phraseology around "I got to play at," and then you describe the role that you're in. This is something that's obviously I don't know if that's something you've trained yourself to say over the years, or you genuinely believe that, like, I can't believe somebody's like paying me to do this job because it feels like I'm literally just having fun.
Yeah, there's. I wish I could say I was that intelligent and trained myself, but I think every school report would say otherwise. No, I suppose I feel really fortunate that you know. I suppose you look at anyone at university now and the amount of debt they're carrying to gain certain qualifications, and I turn up to work every day at whatever point in my career, and I've been paid. And if there was something new to taste, you could taste it for free, within reason, and say not every day, but certainly throughout my career. So whether it was tasting my first decent glass of wine or a whiskey, which I still haven't learned to like, coffee
Same.
training. Sorry.
It's the same for me, and I'm not allowed back over the border because of that statement. Yeah, never been a
But it's
whiskey.
amazing. You just you. I do think you turn up. You're working with people that are like-minded, so it's effectively the equivalent of going to the pub to see your friends. But I'm being paid to be at work with people that I really enjoy being around, that care for each other, and we get to look after guests, which we all enjoy, and we get to have fun and learn whilst we do it, whether that's eating, drinking, or running service. It's. I think we're incredibly fortunate and lucky. So many of my friends say they go to work and they can't wait to go home and not be at work. And I think, I love my family dearly and I love spending time with them.
But
Um, but I equally love being at work and having a huge amount of fun at work, whether that's in the garden, with the gardeners and grounds, or in the kitchen, anywhere. Just everything's a bit of an adventure and a bit of fun.
Five-star hospitality means having the right people in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly where RotaCloud can help. RotaCloud is the online platform that makes planning rotas, recording attendance, and managing annual leave easy. Its simple, drag-and-drop interface lets you create and share rotas with your team in minutes, while our built-in budgeting tools mean you'll know exactly how much you're spending on staffing before sending the rota out. RotaCloud also makes life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request time off, and pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be.
yeah, I love that, and I actually really love, and I picked this up from your notes as well around the fact that you clearly place emphasis on fun, and but not for the sake of it. Like, it has to. There's obviously a job to do, and there are serious moments as well. But the two don't have to live separately from each other. You can still have fun in a very serious moment.
Yeah. I mean, there are loads of really crap bits of the job. Someone's been sick. Somebody's, I don't know, cut themselves and blood everywhere. That's not a nice thing to deal with. All the way down to like the boring things where someone's called in sick and you've got a big, fully booked restaurant this evening and it's going to be really tough with the staff constraints and you couldn't get cover. All of these really inconvenient moments can make or break you. So if you can say, guys, it's an extra challenge today. Let's compete. Let's have some fun. And at the end of the day, maybe the winner will have a glass of fizz, or we can taste the steak. Then it changes the narrative completely for very little cost to the business, and you can win.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be tearing your hair out every day, frustrated and pretty miserable. So if we can make it fun and enjoyable, that people want to come to work, people want to compete, people want to learn, and we'll look after our guests, then we're going to have a really good guest experience and a really good staff experience. and then the people above me are going to be very happy.
Well, indeed,
And
yes.
so our goal is to create that environment, as you say, and try to fine line between messing around and being deadly serious, and try and coach the next generation to lead in that way. Gone are the days of, as you say, very dominant leadership styles that are very red and very much dictating. It's now far more, as I say, just slight course correcting and sitting back and letting the younger generation make those decisions and coaching them through it.
Yeah, I love a reframe, and actually the way that you kind of classified that there in terms of that's a really great real world example of the stuff that just happens day in day. Even when you have a wonderful culture where people just love coming to work, people are going to get ill. Stuff happens, whatever that might look like. There's a train issue, they can't get, traffic jams, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And if you're in a frame of mind whereby you're one of the team members and one of maybe you're running service with 5 guys on the floor, and then you're basically 20% down because one person can't make it, it puts extra pressure on the people if that's the way you frame it. But actually, if you're in an environment where people enjoy looking after each other, and it's love it or hate it, there's phraseology around, that kind of family ethos around. When you've got it right, people do have a habit of looking after each other. It's very that's quite a human-centric approach. And in actual fact, it's not about, oh God, we're a man down again. It's okay, guys, what an opportunity we've got here. We're going to have a lot of extra fun. Just
Yeah. Oh, it's great fun, and I suppose, you could look at it positive or negative. Is probably the short answer. The other day we had a flood at the bottom of our drive. A river broke its banks, so guests couldn't get in or out. But we've got a Land Rover with a snorkel, so a couple of staff put their wellies on and effectively ferried guests through this flood, which the staff thought was the coolest thing ever, that they were paid to drive the Land Rover through. The guests thought it was the coolest thing ever. And what could have been a business critical event where we had no guests, no revenue, couldn't get the staff out because they were trapped in, and a pretty miserable day, actually turned into one of the best days we've had in months, and the staff were loving it, the guests were loving it, and not that we want to put ourselves through that every day, but actually it was a really positive event, and some of those guests have already booked to come back, and many have emailed to say thank you, and what a fun experience they had getting into the pig. And
yeah,
I think that, there's always adversity in this industry. There's always pressures, whether it's external, internal. So if you can have a bit of fun whilst doing it, then it's not so bad.
Totally. But also it's creating a positive environment, right? Everything is definitely, you've got a better chance of solving whatever the problem is with positivity and optimism than you have with negativity and pessimism. And so creating that environment whereby you've just created an experience that somebody couldn't get anywhere else just because there happened to be a bit of extra water down the bottom of the driveway, and now people are rebooking it. We're like, when's your next flood? Can we? Yeah,
it's the same with power cuts. Before we had a generator, would be candles everywhere, serving off a barbecue, either a toasted sandwich or a bit of steak. Very limited menu, but guests loved it. Sort of very romantic and very relaxed. So, our philosophy is don't take a step back, and whilst we're doing it, make sure that we all want to come in the next day. Never leave thinking that was rubbish.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of relationship 101 there as well, isn't it? Don't go to bed on the back of an argument with the other half.
I've learned that. Yeah, absolutely.
Get it sorted, get it done. Same principle. Don't leave your place of work feeling like something to sort, as it will just drag on into your night and into the morning.
Yeah, get rid of the bitterness. Have a laugh.
Yeah,
it's only work.
Yeah, as you say, it's not rocket science, right? It's nobody is going to live or die by the fact that there's a flood down the bottom of your drive.
Yeah, exactly. Chill out.
Indeed. I just know I can hear the birds singing in the background as well.
It's pretty cool.
You're obviously at one with nature where you are, which is, I suppose, in some ways, the pig is known for this. But For the people out there, right, we kind of just got straight into the conversation. Normally, I would do a little piece about tell me about the pig, etc., etc. But actually, we've done this the wrong way around. But there's no right way. There's only today. So, give us a snapshot, really, of the some of the pigs' USPs, really, because I think that it's such a wonderful concept, and I think to this day reflected in the success of the brand and and its continued growth.
Thank you. That's very kind words. Summary of the pigs. There's a pig, I think, across every county in the South Coast, with a couple more coming. Each pig's unique to itself, but same. It's really a restaurant with some rooms, small holding, kitchen garden. And what we can't grow, or if we consume it too fast, which is always the case, we try to source within 25 miles. So we've always supported the local farmer, support the local growers, and support that community. And I think we've always had a saying that we'd rather the chef spent more time out talking to suppliers, finding the best produce or the best meat, than changing that physical produce when it comes in and messing around with it too much. So in short, we're a very small brand that like to sort of do things naturally and humanely, and it just so happens to be all the trends at the moment in terms of sustainability and locally sourced and good welfare practices for staff. But I suppose it's normal to us in a point that we're almost immune to it in that we have pigs, bees, quails, chickens, gardeners, grounds, all sorts of things I never had growing up in London, working in hotels, that are totally normal for us here. Yeah. Guests are able to have access to talk to any of them, advice on growing their whatever they might be growing in their garden, to tasting honey straight from the beehives. It's all just normal and fun to us, but I suppose it's quite a unique experience for them when you step back and think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's widely written around like we should all do more returning to nature, right? In terms of what that brings to you from even just a mental clarity perspective, that grounding experience of being at one with your surroundings, etc. But you guys have you've done that, and so people can be part of the experience when they come to the pig.
Yeah, definitely. I think wellness is another sort of big buzzword at the moment. And I was talking with Lottie, our marketing and brand director, and I was just saying that, arguably, wellness at the pig has always been come with a book or borrow one of our books, borrow our wellies, go for a walk in the woods or sit in the gardens and just have a read. We'll bring you coffee or a glass of wine to wherever you are. If it's food, it might not look as it left the kitchen with the journey it might take, but relax and take it slow. We don't have all these cryotherapies and all sorts of modern facilities. It's just take it slow and listen. As you say, the birds are chirping today and the sun's shining. I think we've got not some great weather ahead of us, but just come and live and exist and look up from your phone or whatever you normally do and just hang out. Just take it slow.
Yeah, no doubt. Any pigs coming to Essex?
Not at the moment, but they're looking everywhere. I think there's the farm is coming soon in Stratford, near Stratford, and they're looking at a couple of other properties as well. So I think there's a bit of expansion and which will create some positive staffing issues, as I say, as we look to backfill and get the team trained up and ready. So maybe soon, Essex.
There's some beautiful parts of Essex. It really should. You should be here. Strategically, you should be here for sure.
I'll plead your case later with the board.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier on in the chat around your involvement with Hospitality Action. It's obviously something that's really close to your heart. Give me a kind of a little overview of your story with Hospitality Action, how you wanted to become involved and how you did get involved.
Yeah, I mean, Hospitality Action's the sort of, I suppose it's the industry charity. They look after us when we have hard times and whatever those hard times may be. And I think as the world gets harder, that gets more important. And through the pigs, we've been able to help raise funds. I think we're maybe at 200,000 now by the end of this year. So we sort of get involved in all and any of their events. I think Robin's been involved since before the pigs started and encouraged us all to, if we wanted to, get involved. And I think it's very close to my heart that I've seen, sadly, several staff come and whether they aren't alive today or they've fallen on really hard times, any support that they could have or future staff could have is really important to me. So anything we do to raise money for Hospitality Action is great. And then that's the sort of starting point. And then when you look at the challenges, again, fun is really important. We want to do something that's we enjoy doing, that isn't going to detract too much from our normal lives. And yet we want to make it so that we engage our workforce and the team around us. So over the years, we've done cycling challenges. We've done to hell and back. I think we both crossed paths. I didn't get to talk to you because I was probably messing around tying waiters to jack stacks at the Back to the Floor
Indeed,
event.
as you should. As you should.
Yeah. Any prank that could be played, I was definitely being as mischievous as possible. And yeah, I think over the years we've done things like at the Piggott Bridge Place. We tried to swim the distance of the channel on inflatables at the beach one day to raise money. So all of the fundraising events, small and large, arguably involve a bit of effort, a bit of thinking, and a bit of engagement. But that's what the world's about: just having fun, getting involved with the community, and raising money for people that need it more than us. So yeah, we've got, in fact, another event coming up this year. We're going to cycle from last year. We did the MI butt ride, the Mastering Holders butt ride from Reims to Canterbury, which was amazing experience. I hadn't ridden I bought a bike in March, rode to the end of the road in April, and thought, bugger,
oh dear,
this life was pretty unattractive, and this is quite a lot of effort. But luckily, some great hoteliers like George and Kenneth all helped motivate me with carrots and Mars bars to cycle 300 miles. I think we cycled 280 miles in 3 days. So we did that last year, which was great. We raised over 135 grand, I think. And this year we're going to do another little smaller bike ride from the Pig in Brockenhurst to Bollinger this time. So again, going to try and raise some money, try and have some good memories, definitely have some competitions along the way and some silliness. But yeah, I think it's part of the parcel. I don't just want to come to work and work. I want to give back to the community as much as possible. And I've been fortunate that over the years, people have really supported me and helped me when I've had good times, even more so when I've had bad times. And if I can carry on that sort of faith, then I feel duty bound.
Yeah, totally. As we all should, right? If we're lucky enough to be in a position where we can, then we definitely should, because you never know, right, what's around the corner, and it's very easy when things seem, easier than perhaps others have, that you can forget about this. But I've spoken to so many people through Hospitality Action over the years, and also I can recount times in my own journey where things were not exactly going according to plan. We probably all have had moments whereby somebody's had to give you a leg up when you probably couldn't get that leg up yourself. And so I just think the work that they do is so valuable. But also, as you say, it doesn't mean that it has to be depressing or negative. These are the stories of real people that are being, that lives are being changed. We can have fun. Back to the Floor is a prime example of that. I mean, I don't think there'd be a room around the world that was having better fun than we were that evening, and making an absolute ton of money. For them as well.
405,000 or something. It's incredibly. I know that Danny and the team worked really hard to get that, but sort of, I wouldn't say it was effortless, of course, but you think that's going to make a huge difference. And some pretty cool people to come in the room and have some fun. You think, actually, I'd do that 1,000,000 times over if we could raise that money every time. That's what a wonderful way of doing it. And certainly the stories that are now going around the industry of who did what to who and who had the best prank, it's what the industry is about. Laughter, community, looking after each other. It's great.
Yeah. And you can't, the thing is about that experience as well is that, like, even the guests just buy into the fact that you're probably paid good money to be there, but you're going to have a service experience like you've never had before. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to run beautifully and according to plan. although it was bloody well oiled. I have to say, massive kudos to the Hilton team
Yeah,
for keeping
James
us
and
on
his
the
squad.
straight and narrow.
I mean, I was in awe. Like operationally, it was like in heaven to watch and observe.
Yeah,
And then obviously messing around was even more fun. But yeah, James and his team at the Hilton were incredible hosts. And I think the guests were dancing like before main course even came out. And it's not often at a charity dinner you have everyone up off their feet being so lively. Normally they're a bit slightly quieter events. So
yeah,
the energy in the room was pretty special.
no doubt. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame it has to be every 2 years, but I understand why. It's a massive undertaking to put together that event. But I believe the Grosvenor House has been secured for the next one,
I believe
so it'll
so,
be even
yeah.
bigger.
It'll be even bigger. I think there are some more pranks being planned. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
the
a little bit
competition's on.
I was prank free, both unto me and me unto others. I didn't realize that was a thing. I was first year
I don't think
of doing
it is
it.
a thing. I just think when you've got some people that like being silly and naughty, and you're waiting for the next course to be served, that you're standing around for 5 minutes or so, that those moments of naughtiness creep in, and an apron that could be tied to another apron seems really funny at the
Yeah,
time and
it
incredibly
should just
childish.
happen.
But yeah, I mean, it was very competitive. It's very difficult to try two people together when they're talking, but that made it all more rewarding when we did get it.
Well, indeed, that's what we spoke about earlier on, right? The things that should be done are rarely easy.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true.
it's a great way of showcasing exactly that. And I think my prank was really probably being put under the watchful guise of Jonathan Raggett,
Heath
who,
prankster. Heath
yeah,
prankster.
yeah. Well, he obviously took it easy on me for my first year, probably. That's what it was. Or didn't feel like he knew me well enough to know that it would be taken in the spirit in which it was meant, or something like that. I don't know,
But yeah,
but
he's incredible. He is incredible.
yeah, 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 yeah. But also, that event to me just highlights the magic of the industry, really, in terms of, for one, it's a busy industry. There's a lot of challenges. There is no getting away from that. In the time in which we're recording this, it's probably never been tougher to operate, under regular framework. I'm not talking about the
Mm.
extracurricular stuff that goes on in the world, but actually just the framework in which we have to operate businesses. And yet, you know, we prove time and time again that there's a massive amount of resilience. You can still have fun. And also, like, the sense of community that the industry has, I just think it's
Mm.
just really unique. You speak to people from other sectors around. Could you imagine a team of lawyers? I'm just going to pick on them coming together to do an event like Back to the Floor. When you've got a competitor directly opposite you and all of that kind of thing. I just don't see it happening. But
No, we're very
ultimately, what do I
lucky.
know?
Very lucky.
Yeah, indeed. One more thing before I let you get on with
Sure.
your day and obviously get that room cleaned and ready for your next guest. But there was something else I wrote down. I just underlined it actually, which was rogue animals, which I would imagine being in the countryside must be.
Oh,
It feels like that should be a fairly regular occurrence.
I mean, yes. So the greatest one at Brockenhurst is that the New Forest ponies or horses roam freely on the roads, or if it's Panish pork season, the pigs are out on the roads. So regularly, a staff member will call to say they're running late because the road is blocked, which is frustrating and stressful. But you learn that is normal in the New Forest. But
Yeah,
we've had escaped. We had a storm once, and one of the deer fences came down. So we had a herd of deer charging around the grounds, trying to get into the kitchen garden and eat everything,
oh yeah, yeah.
which the guests thought was hilarious, and the gardeners perhaps less so.
Stressed. Yes.
And we've had bullocks somehow get into the grounds and be charging around the car parks, and the farmers chasing, and we're trying to support. And you feel very confident until you're standing near them, and you suddenly realise that you're the size of one of their legs, and suddenly think I'm perhaps not the best person to be standing between a bull and the road, or where we
Yeah,
need to
or
help them
whatever
to move.
its objective is. Yes.
But yeah, I think that's the joys of the countryside, is that there's never a dull day, and there is always somebody rummaging around trying to get into the property and cause some mischief.
But that's nature. Can't fight it.
Sure.
Gotta let it do its thing. Work with rather than against.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And what other job could you say that you've stood in the way of a bull, right, in order to protect
True.
your guests? And
Yeah.
it sounds very heroic in my mind.
I mean, I'd probably tell it more heroic than it was. I'm sure
Yeah.
some of the staff would say that I look like a little boy out of place with the real men that were there. But yeah, sometimes that story might elaborate to 50 bulls, depending who I'm telling it to.
But of course, the story is yours to tell as you see fit. Yes,
Very
but
true.
well, I mean, that kind of brings us nicely to a close, I guess, in the sense that there's so much to love about your story. Just in sense, really, because I can't really truthfully look inwardly at myself and think that I've been like super intentional about my career. I have definitely been one of those guys that has taken the opportunity as it presents itself, because it feels like it's good for now, but also there's an objective beyond. That's probably about as far as I've ever got. And there is in the end no right or wrong way to do this, but actually the one thing that you can do is align with whoever you are with. And I think it sounds like you are in 100% alignment with where you are. You've obviously been the benefactor of that from your career perspective, but they're obviously the benefactor of you as well, because you bring that stability. You live and breathe the pig, and that, I would imagine, comes across to your team, to your guests, and all of that. And that's ultimately what it's all about, right? Is creating the space that people want to be in.
Yeah, that's very kind words. Thank you. That is what it's about. Yeah, creating a nice environment for everyone to do well and for guests to relax and have some fun.
Yeah. It solves all the problems, I think. I mean, you mentioned humanity on your forum. We need more of that in the world. We work and live in a sector that has humanity at the core of why it even exists in the first place. So yeah, let's keep that humanity torch alight.
Definitely.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for spending time. We got there in the end.
Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate it.
Very grateful for your time, and wish you guys all the very best with the next stage of the pig's journey, whatever that might look like. And I will definitely, the next time I'm in the area, I will come and say hello for sure.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Always welcome.
Good man. Thanks so much, Guy.
Cool. Thanks, Phil.
Cheers. And there we have it. Naked guests, rogue deer and floodwater rescues, and somehow a masterclass in leadership. Guy Freedman proving fun at work might just be a serious strategy after all. We will, of course, be back next week with another awesome journey from hospitality, so have yourselves a cracking week, and I'll see you then.